What's up, guys? Welcome back. Joe here with Daniel once again. We're gonna do this hopefully weekly. We'll see how it goes, but definitely at some point after every game, we want to do this. So we're gonna talk about the win against Granada, but obviously we lose on the tie and we go home, so we're out of the Europa League, and then we'll preview the Benevento game as well. So it won't be too long. We just want to talk about it a little bit. It helps us alleviate some stress because that's all that this team delivers in our life. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the game first. So we won 2-1 in the game, obviously, but it's not enough to go through because we give up a lousy goal. I tweeted this, but it's always the same kind of goal where someone is left unmarked or there's just one header that the goalkeeper's frozen on because he's not expecting it. And it just seems like it's constantly the same thing that we give up. But we started it off so good with 3 minutes in, Zielinski with a great goal, great footwork, gets himself into good position, fakes out a defender and shoots on his left. And, lately he's been missing all those shots, but he scores it. And it seems like, we already got a goal. We need 3 to go through or 2 to go to extra time if we don't concede. And it looks like we might be able to do this thing or at least start off well with their foot on the gas. And then we kind of go back defensively, it seems like, right? And then we concede midway through. And then after that, it's like all hopes are gone. Although I will give the guys credit. I feel like they played well in the second half. Should have scored like 6 goals or had 6 opportunities, but didn't. So, Dan, hello to you. I didn't even introduce you to start this. I got so annoyed thinking about the game, but go ahead. Give me your opinions on the start of the match. We'll talk about the first half first, and then we'll get into the second half.
Yeah, I made a bit of an audio yesterday just talking about it. And I just couldn't conceive how we started off so well. And then it seemed like we just completely took our foot off the gas. Zielinski obviously made an incredible play. I mean, he's capable of that, like just making something out of nothing, and gave us some hope, some real hope that we could, I thought we were going to end up scoring 3 or 4 last night after that, because it just seemed like we were just going to go on an onslaught because Granada were like at the ropes at that point. They didn't really seem in the game at all last night at all, like Granada. And I don't think they ever really were in the tide to begin with. Even in the first game, they really didn't look good either. So they were a team that we should have definitely beaten. And I'm really, honestly, I don't want to say disgusted because it's a bit too harsh, but I'm definitely kind of ashamed in the team at not going through, because it's not a tie that we should be going out in, especially in the round of 32.
Yeah, and Granada was also, even though they're already, I hate to say like we're better because I don't like discrediting teams, like anything happened in football, but we have the better talent, I would say overall. We should be beating a team like Granada. Again, taking nothing away from them because they deserved it because, especially in that first leg, they played better, whatever. We waited till the last 45 minutes to really show up. And besides those first like 3 minutes of the first half. And Granada were also missing players. And then obviously throughout the game, they had like 2 injuries in the first half, and we still, didn't take advantage, and they still scored a goal. So it definitely is frustrating. What'd you see on their goal? Because at first we both thought it was Ramani's fault because it looked like he lost his man. But then I thought I saw you tweeting, like, looking back on it, it might have been Maximovic's fault. So what did you see if you had to analyze that situation?
Well,
you let up a free header, basically.
yeah, well, what I guess they kind of share the blame, but I would give the blame a bit more on Maximovic just because the guy is just in there, not even looking around him, like to see his surroundings, what's happening around him in the box. There's actually 3 players in the box waiting to get a header. And no, I'm sorry, 2. And one was the guy that Ramani went to go get, which was actually Maximovic's man. And instead of just communicating to him saying, hey, look behind your shoulder, look your right shoulder, you got a guy right there, he decides to go and defend Maximovic's man, leaving Romani's actual marker open. And that's how they scored. Also, I even looked at the replay again, and I saw Di Lorenzo just watching as well. He could have easily communicated to them to get them into position. So really, a lot of the goals that we let in is just a lack of communication. and it makes me think that the team, it's not really a team right now. We're not really a team. We're just made up of individuals.
Yeah, I can agree with that too because it seems like a lot of accounts I follow, the more actual like analysts that do this for a living, seem like they also agreed to the fact that there just was silence in that moment. Like it didn't seem like Ramani and Maximovic were shouting to each other like "I got this guy" or "Watch your back." So I agree with that. Especially this one guy I follow on Twitter, he said the exact same thing you just said. And it makes sense when you think about it because in that scenario, you could easily just say, or just like, hey, look out in a split second. You know what I mean? I know
Yeah,
that it's hard to see that in a split second in the game in live action, but you can do that. But yeah, so the first half ended 1-1, and then we get to the second half, which we can touch briefly on. And then they come out guns a blazing as we thought they would after the first goal, and they pretty much are in Granada's half the whole second half.
yeah,
And there's at least 4 or 5 chances that they had that they couldn't score. I guess that's a time where you miss someone like Osimhen, maybe a bigger body, or even Petagna, because a bigger target could help there, especially with some hold up play or whatnot. But Fabian scores the goal, which thank God he scored because I thought he should have taken it a little earlier, and it almost got saved, but it squibbed under the goalkeeper, thankfully. But still, at that point, since they got the away goal, we needed to win 4-1 to even go through. So it was going to be tough, but they could have done it with all those chances when you look back. But yeah, they spent the whole time there, and it just seemed like the ball wasn't going to go in. I think Silva's the goalkeeper for them, Granada, I think, and he saved a bunch of opportunities. So good on him to do that. But we definitely should have done more. Mertens came back finally from the injury. We saw that he came back for the first, maybe last 30 something minutes. And
hmm
he looked good. He had some chances, but he messed up some passes as well. So obviously it's rusty, and he hasn't played for the majority of the season or for a couple of months now in total overall. So what'd you see in the second half? Because I thought, we got the second goal early enough to get 2 more. And honestly, it looked like we could get 2 more. And then obviously we faltered. We weren't able to.
Well, I think it's just a typical Napoli performance that we need to, get a certain amount of goals, and we just never end up doing it. How many times have we gone out of Europa League or even Champions League where we look like we're making a comeback and we never really come in? It never really comes into fruition.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's just something that us as fans, I mean, we were kind of expecting yesterday to happen.
Yep.
It sucks because you want to always have like 100. You want to always be 100% supportive of your team and like believe that they'll come back and do something. Especially yesterday when I don't know how many freaking chances we had in that half. Like Ghulam's header, Mertens' header, and these are all like very finishable chances. Just the ball didn't want to go in, and it kind of was karma for that game against Juve,
Yeah.
where in the second half Juve was just bombarding us and we were just defending, and so I guess ball never lies.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. And our friend Luca definitely enjoyed that part of
Yeah,
the outcome. But I guess 2 more things I would like to touch on. One being Gulam. He definitely came in and contributed some really positive minutes in the second half. And I know last time we made this video, I was like shocked as why he was coming on that double corner on that change against Atalanta. And I was like, what's the point? And I guess yesterday he showed what he can do. And me and you were talking after the game because we weren't able to film yesterday that, you also said, and I'll let you explain this in your own words, but you said we should use his minutes more, even if he's not starting. Use him to what we know he can do, which is he still crosses probably better than any of our fullbacks. And the giant throw in is a big thing too. It's funny, but it
yeah,
works. There was like 2 opportunities yesterday. One to Mertens that almost worked. So yeah, I agree that he should maybe come in for half an hour. It's hard to start him right away because defensively he still might be a liability because he hasn't played too often. Not saying Rui has his moments too, and he could be a solid left back, but we know that he also makes plenty of mistakes. So it's a tug. It's a tug of war basically on preference. What are you gonna do? I don't know if Gulam is ready for 60, 70 minutes. Maybe he is, and I'm not giving him that credit. Who knows? But I agree that they should use him more often then. Maybe against sides that, maybe not against the Juve, not against Inter, but maybe against a Benevento like this weekend. Maybe he could get a start or play a full half. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about that? Because I know a lot of people were happy to see him. I just don't know. I just don't think a performance against Granada, who they should be beating, is, we were already in their half. Granada was just defending for their lives at that point. So it's not like Gulam had to keep going back. He might prove to be a liability defensively. So what do
Yeah.
you think in terms of using him more often?
I just think if Gattuso, because by now, I mean, it's kind of clear that Gattuso is going to be with us until the end of the season, unless we start going on a skid of like 10 games in a row where we lose or tie. I mean, it's kind of obvious now that Gattuso is going to be our manager until the end of the season. I think as long as he finds somebody to cover Gulam, assist him and defensively, someone in the midfield to assist him defensively, I think he could play a lot more than he has. Like you said, he is a liability going backwards because he doesn't have the same speed as he did in 2017, sorry, and before his injuries. But also something else we touched up upon yesterday. I mean, I don't really understand why he's had such a difficulty with his injuries as well, because it's not like he tore his ACL twice, the same ACL. He has a repaired ACL that's arguably stronger than it was before he got his injury, because that's the way it works with ACL injuries. Once they repair it, it's usually stronger than it was before. And then, I mean, I think he injured his patella, right?
Yeah, his kneecap or something.
The kneecap, yeah. So I don't really understand. I mean, why he never plays. Why? I mean, it's kind of obvious that technically he's the best on the team, not overall like in that position. So I don't really get it, but at least like you said, 30 minutes at the end of the game, substantial minutes, not like garbage minutes that he's been getting where it's like 3-4 minutes at a time. You don't do that, and you don't build the player's confidence back up again, especially an important player like him. Um he'll never be the way he was ever again, I don't think. Barring some drastic change, he will never be what the Gulam we grew up loving, because the dude was an animal.
Yeah.
But I definitely think he could be a significant help to this side, because we're in dire need of somebody to create from the back, for a wing back to create, because Di Lorenzo's not it. He's great defensively, Di Lorenzo, but he's not. He's never gonna be the way Gulam was in 2017.
Yeah.
And Rui's very hit or miss. Like he could have a game like against Barcelona last year where he hits the post, he puts in like 3-4 incredible crosses, and then he could have a game where he doesn't even make a 5-yard pass the whole game, and it comes down to a mentality at that point, where we know that these guys have the capabilities technically, but it's up here where we lack. Most of the players lack a lot of up here, and Gulam was always a guy that I think that we could rely on, and it kind of stinks seeing him on the bench all the time. So I really hope, Gattuso finds a way to put him in more often, because yesterday it kind of gave me a lot of great like flashbacks to the game against Spal. I don't know if you remember that game.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester City, these are games that like I will never forget, because that dude was an animal.
Yeah, he was one of the top fullbacks in the world at that point. It seemed like he was that good at that point 4 years ago. But that brings me to my other point before we touch on the Benevento game, that the mentality thing, it seems like it just keeps holding us back, because the players on the field, might not all be world class. They might not be all top caliber players, but they're good enough players, and good players were at the point where you should be beating a team like Granada and doing better in the league. So it's always a mentality thing. I think that's true. The one thing I want to give them credit, though, is I guess in the second half, they did show some urgency. It's too late at that point, because you can't give yourself 45 minutes. And even though you did produce 5 chances, you can't give yourself just 45 minutes to score 3 more goals. And then say, hey, look, we still tried. Like, yeah, you tried, but you should have been trying the other 100 whatever plus minutes that you had
Listen,
in his legs.
when you had three halves,
Yeah.
when you threw three halves into the wind, you don't deserve to go through.
Yeah, 135 minutes of nothing. So I just wanted to say though, like I could see the effort, and I don't understand why that effort from that half hasn't been in all our league games for the past
Mhm.
month. Because if you play with that effort, you easily get more points than what we've gotten in the past couple of months. You can beat teams like a Genoa with that effort. You can beat maybe a Verona, but Verona is really good. So, I'm just saying teams like that, and even against Juve, we could have played better. And I understand that, whatever, we kind of wanted to counter there and we got the penalty, but that's all I wanted to say. I think that effort going forward could get you some more results if they do that. But I agree with you too that at this point, I still think that they're not completely united, or they're not as united as people say they are. Because if you are united, even for Gattuso, you play better than you have been, And I know there's injuries, but it's not an excuse. It really isn't an
There's
excuse.
zero. Granada had they were in pieces. They were in a shambles yesterday. Did you see they had three injuries in the first half, and they all had to come out. There's zero excuse, and they still pulled through. They still, as bad as they are, honestly, because I don't see any talent in that Granada team. Even that guy Kennedy, even he never started for Newcastle or Chelsea. This guy was era um Scott, you
Yeah,
know?
and he's like, and they're like 10th in La Liga too, or something like that.
Yeah.
They had a terrible loss over this past weekend, and we still, we won the game, but we didn't do enough. But hey, whatever. So we're gonna move on because we don't want to take too long, but we got to get over that. Unfortunately, that tie's over now. We're out. So hopefully, the only positive you can say is maybe they get a little bit more rest and the people from injuries start coming back at decent times, because we also found out, which we might do a different video for this, but we found out that we're going to have like a 6 or 7 day stretch where we're playing Milan, Juve, and Roma, one right after the other between 3 days of each other, which is terrible schedule making because that Juve game is rescheduled. But of course, they put it right
Right.
smack between those two games. But whatever. So the Benevento game, obviously, it's going to be a challenging game this weekend because Benevento they're not a walkover team. Like we should
No,
beat them,
oh,
but at this point, if we play the way we've been playing, we're going to lose to them too. So,
yeah.
and they showed that they're in their first game when we weren't that bad earlier this season that they're going to challenge us. We barely beat them. It was 2-1. We had to take that Insigne left-footed curler that he never shoots with to win that game.
Yep.
So, what do you think on this? Give me your opinions on what you want to touch on, because this is an important game. It's sad to say that we're going to have to worry about beating Benevento, but we are going to have to worry about beating Benevento.
Well, they're definitely capable of beating us, like you said. I think Pippo Inzaghi's a great coach. They obviously have Insigne's brother, Lorenzo Insigne's brother, Roberto. He's a pretty great player, to be honest. And yeah, they're solid enough that I'm fearful of them. Seems like any solid team nowadays is gonna give us, there's a high probability that we'll lose to them. So yeah, I think if we come out with the right mentality, obviously we'd win. I mean, there's no debating that. But yeah, I think if we came out like we did in that second half against Granada, there's no chance for Benevento. But yeah, I mean, they have Glick is out, which is a big plus for us. He's gonna be on a red card, so he's gonna be out. Yeah, I mean, looking forward to the match, obviously, as I always do, but cautious at the same time.
Yeah, it's funny that at this point, you think to Napoli of even last year, 3-4 years, obviously 3 years ago, this is a no brainer. Like this is a game we'd probably win like 4-0. But times have
Mm-hmm.
changed. It's not the same anymore. We aren't the same anymore. Our coach is not the same anymore. It's not the same style that we used to play. So even players of the quality, because we don't have that many different players from a couple of years ago, but it's just the way it is. Mertens hasn't been healthy, but hopefully we throw out people like Mertens, maybe not from the start, even though he's been training fully for about a week plus now. Maybe not from the start, but him and Gulam should get 30, 40 minutes, honestly, because it doesn't seem like Elmas is going to start. If he starts, he's not going to play well. Whenever he starts, it's just like it just doesn't work out. And honestly, even off the bench lately, he's just been I don't know. I don't know what happened to him because he showed some promise. He had some flashes, and then it just didn't work out. And I don't know what he's going to do with the fullbacks Gattuso this weekend because the obvious things are Rui and Di Lorenzo, but now everyone wants to see Gulam. We have to see what he does, but they do still have some good players. Benevento, like you said, Insigne, Letizia, right, is on the team, so
Yeah,
that's another good player to look out for. The Glick thing hopefully helps us out, even though we're gonna have minions up front because we don't have anyone of big stature. Like
no,
Osimhen's still gonna be out. Pedanius, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be back. Our midfield might still be a little problem. Hopefully Demme can play because we're gonna have to rely on Bakayoko still. So, it's not gonna be fun to watch. I think it's gonna be another gritty game. I don't think it's gonna be an explosive game. I think it's gonna be another low scoring game that we're gonna have to sweat out. But I honestly, you know what? The thing is if you said what you said was right. If they come out in the second half like they did against Granada, then Benevento probably has no chance. But the thing
mhm,
is are we gonna get that? It's always a toss up. Like which Napoli are we gonna get? Are we
yep,
gonna look to score and then sit back against Benevento? It's embarrassing to say that.
yeah. And to elaborate on your point of Elmas, how he can't really start because whenever he starts, he really doesn't do much. Um, I still think we don't even know what his position is,
Mm,
and I can't even tell what his position is. I don't understand. I don't know where he's best at because like yesterday, which was I couldn't understand the decision for the life of me, but he was playing left wing back. Like I thought we had Diego Simeone as coach yesterday or something,
yeah,
putting just random players at wing back. Like it doesn't make any sense. Um, which also brings me to the point where Gattuso it doesn't seem like he's just grasping at straws here. He doesn't seem clear minded at all in his approach to any game anymore.
yeah,
Um, especially when you had Gulam on the bench and Rui right there to play yesterday, and he had Elmas play left wing back. It was a complete waste. That whole left side was just non-existent, you know.
yep.
And I can't even blame Elmas for that because it's obviously not his position.
No,
He doesn't have the capabilities of playing that position with characteristics. Sorry. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just really hope that tomorrow we see, or not Sunday, right?
Sunday.
Sunday. I hope we see. I hope we see guys in the right position. First of all, and second of all, um, I hope we see Lorenzo Insigne get back on the board because it seems like he's the only one really right now that he's our most important player, obviously, and against his brother, he's definitely going to want to get a few goals. So
Yeah, and I think Robbie Insigne is also going to play well. He seemed to
yeah,
enjoy last time he played against Napoli. He really played well. It's funny because he probably could fit in this team now. Back then it's hard to say that because he wasn't developed yet. But he's become a tidy player. Honestly, credit to him. He's worked his way up to something because he could be even on a better team than Benevento. Like a mid-table team. He's a decent talent, but we'll see. I mean, I still truly think Benevento does have enough talent to do something against us. It's gonna be. I'm glad actually. I'm gonna have to miss this game. I'm not gonna be around that at that time Sunday, so I don't want to be shitting my pants when we watch this game because it's like every game is. I will never tune out of a game if I'm actually able to watch it. I just literally can't this weekend, but it gets you to that point where you're actually nervous going against, I could be nervous against Torino at this point. I
yeah.
was when we tied them earlier this year, just the way it is. But if you want to give any closing remarks or anything you want to point out, maybe a prediction, go ahead, because I think that's all we really want to talk about. But yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
Prediction: I think we win 2-1.
Okay.
I think we
Yeah,
win.
yeah, we beat them 2-1 last time. Yeah. I see that, or maybe a 2-0. I don't know why I get the strange feeling maybe we can keep a clean sheet. I mean, that's asking for a lot
I mean,
nowadays.
you'd be right to believe that we get a clean sheet. I mean, Koulibaly seems to be back.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like Maksimovic is going to play with him because he was taken out earlier against Granada as well after they made changes after halftime. So it looks like it probably is going to be a Maxi Koulibaly partnership. So we'll see.
That's another thing that I can't understand why Maximovic keeps getting put on the field. I mean, the guy is obviously suffering from something. I mean,
Yeah, he's been poor. Who knows? It might be the contract situation, you know.
but I mean, it seems like he's the go-to instead of Rahmani, so can't really complain. But yeah, until the end of the season, this is what it is, and we just have to be happy. We have to be content and hope for the best. Hope for fourth place, because without fourth place, I don't think we go. Giniama nessuna parte.
Yeah, you can say that again, and that's looking bleak right now. We're honestly, the way they've been playing, we'll be lucky to get a sixth, fifth place, but we'll see. You know, some of the other teams are still in other competitions that we are not in anymore, so maybe their attention gets taken away. You know, Milan's still in Europa League, obviously. Juve, Champions League. You know, Inter is still playing, so you know, Inter is still in the Coppa Italia, at least. It's, you know, you're drawing at strings, like you're trying to get every little positive that you can for Napoli, but you know, it stinks. But yeah, I'll go with the same thing. I think they pull out a win. I mean, if we lose again in the league, it's going to be a problem. But I think 2-0. I'll go with that for me. I'm going to bark anyway. It's like at this point, it's just but we'll see. We always end up watching the games and making ourselves. I think I have a white hair, by the way. I forgot to tell you. I literally have a white hair in the corner of my head. And I guarantee you that this team is part of it. I'm 24 years old, and I'm gonna have white hair soon because I watched Gattuso coach Napoli. But yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully this is short enough for anyone who wanted to watch, and we'll be back obviously after the weekend, probably maybe Monday or so. When Dan gets some free time on Monday, and hopefully I can as well. We'll talk about the Benevento game, and hopefully we come back with a more positive episode of this. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.